at powernomics.com. I hope everyone goes to powernomics.com because Dr. Anderson deserves our support. I hope you agree with that. And this is on page 232, question 83. And he starts talking about black reparations and affirmative action. He's talking about things like the 1866 Indian Treaty, which I think all black people should know something about this. Um, in fact, most black people, I imagine, did not learn anything about any of this in public school. There's probably just so much stuff there that we did not learn in school because the government, there's no reason for the government to teach us things that's just going to make everybody mad, right? The government's goal is to make you just forget about it, so that you hopefully won't be mad or you'll go along with the program. But I personally think that it's very important for us to teach ourselves and teach each other. So this is one of the reasons why I don't get into the debates, the Democrat Republican debate about what books are going to be used in our schools and what kids are going to be taught, because I really really hope to impress upon you the idea of at least considering that it's your job and it's our job to teach our kids, particularly something as sensitive as history, because if you don't, they're just going to lie to them like they did to us, and next thing you know, you're walking around here delusional and half crazy and thinking that up is down and down is up. All right, so what I'm going to do is start reading here on this out of this book, and we're just going to kind of stop where appropriate, to be able to sort of figure out like what's what and what's going on here. All right, so here's what Dr. Anderson says as it pertains to the 1866 Indian Treaty. And the question is, did the 1866 Indian Treaties mandate benefits for Black freedmen and Black Indians? So this solves part of the mystery about reparations, like who has your money and how much do they owe you? He says here, the native Indians had a relationship with slavery from the beginning of the country. The relationship of Indians and blacks came to a critical point after the Civil War and was the reason for the 1866 Indian treaties. The white European colonists who established the first settlements were fearful that Native Americans could form an alliance with African slaves and revolt. The colonists decided it was better to convince the native Indians to identify with the emerging institution of black enslavement. And to that end, the two parties consummated the Treaty of New York in 1516. Okay, let's stop right there. How many of you, in all the years, all the schooling that we got, all the education that you have, all the, BAs, BSs, MAs, MSs, PhDs, JDs, and any other letters you have behind your name that make you feel like you're important? How many of you ever heard anything about the Treaty of New York in 1516? Give me one. I'm looking for one yes. Somebody give me one yes of anybody who learned about this treaty, where they apparently, according to Dr. Anderson, this was where they wanted to convince the Native Americans to work with them to keep black people enslaved. Did anybody learn this in their school? If you learned it, I bet you learned it at home. If you learned it, I bet you learned it from somebody in your family. Maybe you learned it from Dr. Anderson directly because maybe you read the book ahead, right? So this to me is just another example of proving my point in the sense that we cannot let other people teach our history because this is important. This is important. I mean, this is the foundation of the reparations that you are owed. And I personally think that as a community, we have to sort of just make a promise to ourselves that we're not going to let people tell us lies about the things that we need to know. All right, so let me hop in here really quick. I'm gonna send you out all a text message to let you all know that we're going live. And uh, and if you want to get a text notification, there's a couple ways you can do that for this class. If you just text the word money to 87948, you can also get a free copy of my training, How to Make Money Without Working. That's the stock option stuff if you're interested in that. And but I also send out that text to that list when we do class. So just text the word money to the phone number 87948. And if you live out of the country, you can go to drboyceelevate.com and you'll be on the email list. And I'll send you an email a little bit earlier in the day. I just want to find ways to connect with you. And once you sign up for the Zoom automatically sends you email reminders and all that good stuff. All right. So here is so there's this Treaty of New York, 1516. The treaty contains provisions that appeared in all subsequent treaties. Okay, interesting. Let's get to the bottom of this. The colonists promised native Indians food, clothing, money, and weapons. So they got food, clothing, money, and weapons. Let me guess, to sell out black people to make sure that you help us control our Negroes. Let's see. Let's see if I'm right about this. In return, there's always a trade, right? They required the native Indians to cease being hunters, to build farms, own black slaves, and support slavery. Hmm. So they gave him food, clothes, money, weapons. Remember I told you how money is power? And Massa can print money. So he uses his money to control you and get you to do whatever. That's how they got these little rappers to run right here, destroying the black community left and right. Worse than the KKK is they just give them little trinkets, food, money, clothing, and weapons. Just as long as you're shooting yourself with the weapons, it's okay. In return, they require them, not ask them, they require them to stop being hunters. So they'll feed you your food to teach you how to not hunt for your own food. Isn't that deep? That I'm gonna give you some food to pacify you, so I shut down your natural ability to hunt. So I'm gonna give you a little job. Let's take the analogy full circle. I'm gonna give you your little black job, and you're gonna think I'm your friend. And the reason I'm giving you your little black job is because I don't want you to learn how to be an entrepreneur like me. I don't want you to compete with the big boys. I need you to work for the big boys, right? So they went to the native Indians and they said, "You're hunters. We don't need more hunters. We want you to actually have farms. We want you to be farmers, and then we want you to own black slaves. So support us in this slavery thing, and then support slavery." That's what it says here. This is in Dr. Anderson's book, page 232, The Black History Reader. If the native Indians accepted those terms, the colonists promised to call them civilized instead of savages. So you get to be a distinguished Negro now, but that's the analogy, right? Except it's not black people, it's Native Americans. But the white supremacist playbook is kind of the same, right? So some of y'all are civilized Negroes. You gave $250,000 to blankety blank university. And because you went to blankety blank university, you walk around holding your suspenders like Urkel, and you say, "I'm a distinguished Negro. I'm part of the Boule now, and I'm better than all these other Negroes now because I've all these credentials and behind my name." Right? That's what they do, right? But then they're like, "Okay, yeah, just give us $250,000 and we'll call you whatever you want. We'll rub your booty and call you Sally." And that's what we are here. You're not black, you're OJ. All right, so let me keep reading here. Let me stop being sarcastic. Y'all know how I get because this stuff makes me mad. All right, it says here if the native Indians accepted those terms, the colonists promised to call them civilized instead of savages, and to give them, listen to this. Damn, the plot thickens. And they got paid $25 for each runaway slave they captured and returned to the slaveholder. Hold on. I'm sprinting to the I'm sprinting. Okay. I gotta find this out. I gotta find this out. So let's see. What year was this? 1516. How much was $25 worth in 1516 if translated to 2024 dollars? So we want to see how much they got paid to sell us out. Okay. This is see, and all this is in contradiction to the crap you learned in school. You learned all these alliances, like, yeah, they were really your friends. They're oppressed like you. They're just like, yeah, yeah, okay. Let me do some little math right quick. And so $25 is how much they got paid. And this is for anybody who's part of one of the civilized tribes, I want you to know that when we come for the reparations, you owe some money too. So I'm going to tell you about I'm about Redfin to tell you approximately how much money y'all owe us as well, because a lot of y'all owe us money. Okay, so $25, that was a pretty penny. $25 in 1516. Check this out. Is $48,160.33 per slave. How about that? That's a lot of money. You could buy a nice car for that amount of money. So this is what they did. This is how they sold you out. This is how they pretty much got money to I guess bring you back to your master or whatever. They did this to your ancestors, your blood ancestors. This happened to them. A lot of you are descendants of slaves, I assume. How many of you got great 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 grandparents that were slaves? Anybody? I do. I have a great great great. So when the reparations checks come flowing, I got proof that I should get my check. I should be one of the first because I have a great 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 grandfather named Boyce from Kentucky who got the name Boyce from his slave master. So I not only do I have the slave lineage, but I got the slave name. And I could change it, but y'all used to calling me Boyce, so I'm just gonna stick with it. But maybe one day I'll come out and be like, y'all need to call me Shaka Zulu or something. All right, anyway, let me hold on. I'm trying to clean my glasses off. Here we go. With my glass, I got to. I don't want to be angry with smudgy glasses. All right, I need my glasses clear so I can see exactly how much money they took away from us. So let me keep reading. I keep reading, boys. Focus. All right, here we go. Um, so for more than 300 years, the tribes owned, traded, captured, and profited from the enslavement of blacks. Sorry, I must have the ghosts of our ancestors came into my office because they just turned my TV on and I didn't even hit the button. So they're mad too. Or maybe that's my mama. You know, my mama lives in heaven now and they have good Wi-Fi in heaven. So how you doing, mama? It's good. I'm glad you're in class today. All right. So for more than 300 years, the tribes owned, traded, captured, and profited from the enslavement of blacks. Write that down. When the Civil War broke out between the North and the South, all five of the civilized tribes, the Choctaw, Chickasaw, Creek, Cherokee, and Seminoles, sought to protect their slave investments. So, no, they were not side by side with black people fighting for your freedom, like maybe some of you were led to believe. No, they were fighting with the other side. This is just information. If I'm wrong, please correct me. Um, let's see here. They signed agreements with the Southern Confederacy, with the South. They did not sign with the North, to fight with the South against the North to maintain black slavery. The 1866 Indian treaties, which is what Dr. Anderson has been suing for many decades, by the way, with his own money, hundreds of thousands of dollars of his own money has been put toward these lawsuits. Your Congressional Black Caucus members have not been helping, most of them. Maybe one or two, but for the most part, they've kind of blown it away. Barack Obama did not help. A lot of your favorite black people, Al Sharpton, so they're not interested. The 1866 Indian treaties between the U.S. government and the five civilized tribes required the tribes to release their slaves after the Civil War and described the legal obligations of the tribes to the black freedmen and black Indians and the benefits that were due to them. So you had black Indians and black freedmen that were owed money from these tribes while they're, making money from their casinos and stuff. Initially, after the Civil War, the Native Indians, who had been slaveholders and had fought on the side of the South to maintain slavery, refused to release their slaves, claiming independent sovereignty. By fighting on the side of the Southern Confederacy, the Indian tribes had broken all previous treaties with the U.S. government because each treaty required loyalty to the U.S. So every treaty they signed before that one was violated when they decided to side with the South in the rebellion. Let me see here. Hold on. The 1866 Indian treaties were drafted by representatives of the U.S. and were signed by Indian chiefs of each of the five tribes. The treaties required the Native Indians to release their slaves, this is your reparations. Pay attention now. Listen. They were required to give each black freedman and black Indian $150. Remember, this is hundreds of years ago now. This is a lot of money. $150, 160 acres of land. And most importantly, they were all to be treated as members of tribes. Now, okay, I'm furiously running back to calculate because I got to know this. This is okay. So, how much is the average cost of 160 acres of land? We need all the black accountants and stuff to be jumping on board. Y'all need to be sitting out pulling out the calculators. Okay, you owe us this much plus interest and penalties. Okay, so check this out. So let's see if it's farmland. Farmland goes for 4,000 on average, $4,170 per acre in 2024. Cropland, 5,500 per acre. Pasture land, 1,800 per acre. If you look at state, just land in given states, Rhode Island is the land is $22,000 per acre, 160 acres. That's a lot of money. It's a lot of black wealth right there. So the average for 160 acres. Listen to this, y'all. This is money that should be in your pocket. The national average for farm real estate means that if you had 160 acres in your family, it would be worth $667,200. If you lived in Rhode Island, it would be worth $3.5 million. But if your broke ass lived in New Mexico, it would only be worth $112,000. So you pick a number somewhere in the middle. You're talking about something that's probably about seven figures for most of you. This is why you had no money growing up, because they stole your money. I need you to understand that your ancestors were not lazy. They were robbed. The language of the 1866 Indian treaties tracked the language of the 14th Amendment that granted citizenship rights to former slaves. The treaties mandated that black freedmen and black Indians be treated similarly in all manners and equal to the members of the five civilized tribes. So that means that the black freedmen and black Indians should be treated the same as the Native Americans. So I guess that's the question, right? How many of you know a black family or something that runs a casino or something? Did anybody got a family that's like, owns a casino? If it's making money from the game, anybody? Okay, all right. I didn't. Me neither. Okay. Um, let's keep going. Today, being treated similarly would mean that black freedmen and black Indians should be tax exempt. No taxes. What? What? Exempt from college tuition. Ooh, student loans are the number one drainer of black wealth. Did y'all know that? Have priority rights to reservation resources, have rights to electronic broadcasting airways, and have federal recognition of land for gaming licenses. This is what Dr. Anderson is documenting. Thank you for doing this. Do y'all understand why this man's a national treasure? I hope you get it. And I'm gonna tell you, if you are affiliated with any of these HBCUs that's been ignoring this man, you need to go up in that chancellor's office and kick that damn door down and tell them to wake the hell up. Stop manufacturing slaves and start educating them on things like powernomics. Seriously, no disrespect, but this is ridiculous. This is just embarrassing. Let's keep going here. Implicit in the treaties was a direct relationship with the government through the Bureau of Indian Affairs and the U.S. Department of the Interior. On a side note, the Bureau of Indian Affairs and the Freedmen's Bureau were established at the same time, placing black freedmen and Indians into protected classes. However, the Freedmen's Bureau was intentionally corrupted, the funds plundered by whites, and prematurely terminated because the South again had a need for black labor. So that they could actually enslave you again and get access to your labor, they destroyed the Freedmen's Bureau, which was created at the same time as the Bureau of Indian Affairs. That means that everything that they're getting, we would be getting the same stuff. Do you understand what a difference this will make in your life and mine? Like seriously, like raise your hand. How many of you are a descendant of slavery? Give me a yes in the chat. If you got great grandparents or parents or triple great, whatever. Sorry, Henry Louis Gates. I know he likes to do that show where he tells white people how black they are and whatever. I don't know what that I don't get. I don't understand Gates. I don't dislike him. We're not the same. I don't hate him though. I don't hate him. So this ain't no beef. Okay. So do you understand what this means? Like the path had been set for you to have an inheritance, for you to have resources. A lot of y'all got it out the mud like I did. I didn't have nothing. I was 23 years old, couldn't pay my rent. I remember going to vote for Bill Clinton, and I was on my way to vote for Bill Clinton, and I was on my bike, and the voting station was right there, but I was late for work, and I remember thinking, if I lose my job because I'm late, Bill Clinton is not gonna come help me pay no bills, and I was behind on the rent because I didn't have no damn money. So imagine if your life started and you had $100,000 available just in case you had an economic emergency. Think about how different your life would have been. I had to make hard choices because I didn't have any money, right? So what he's basically saying here, and what Dr. Anderson is telling you, and I want to impress this upon you. I think this has to be one of the most urgent messages that we keep in the back of our mind is that your whole life would have been very different if people had stuck to their commitments. So Dr. Anderson, this amazing man who filed this lawsuit that a lot of the members of the Congressional Black Caucus do not pay attention to, was suing to say, no, you owe us, you owe black people something. All that land, all those resources, every single thing that's being given to the Native American tribes, God bless them. I ain't got nothing against them. But everything y'all getting, we supposed to get that too. Let's keep going. I mean, no taxes, free tuition. Think about how much of a difference that would make in your life right there. Let me keep reading. All right, focus, boys. All right, I'm gonna focus. Okay. The Bureau of Indian Affairs still stands and is the government entity through which black freedmen and black Indians also should have a direct relationship. Instead, both groups have had to resort to litigation to resolve disputes related to government financial management of allotment accounts for land and material resources. Treaties represent the highest form of law, especially in the U.S., which presents itself as a nation of laws. Since the federal government has a fiduciary responsibility to carry out treaty mandates, it ought not be necessary for blacks to file lawsuits against federal agencies for failure to carry out their obligations to black freedmen and black Indians. So, all you black lawyers out here that are listening, maybe this will be a nice little project for you to pursue. I think the late great Johnny Cochran was going to pursue this before he just mysteriously died. Um, the federal government's failure to fully enforce the treaties represents economic justice denied. The historical significance of these treaties cannot be minimized because they detail tangible benefits directed to a specific segment of black Americans and their descendants. The economic benefits should have been enjoyed by the black freedmen and black Indians and passed to their descendants. Over the course of the last 150 years, these treaties have served as the basis for Native Indians to demand accountability from the U.S. government for mismanaging Indian assets. Black freedmen and black Indians have asked for the same accountability and the same legal questions, but they have not received answers. Blacks cannot let the economic benefits of these treaties to blacks be ignored. How is it that legitimate benefits assigned to blacks are always forgotten in history? And I think that that speaks to just expectations. Like people kind of expect black people to be broke. They expect the black community to be in shambles. They expect you to have nothing. So when you say no, I'm not supposed to have nothing. I'm supposed to have something. People are like, "What are you talking about?" Like that's crazy talk. The idea of a black community being in good shape and actually having resources like white folks, oh, that's not allowed in America. That's not expected in America. You're always supposed to be deficient. And some of us as black people accept that. Like we kind of just know, like, okay, being black means being deficient financially. In fact, I saw something today that was really interesting, and it really kind of I don't know, maybe I was just in a don't dumpy mood or something, but I saw this thing and it was like this little like feel good post somebody had put up and they said they showed Kevin Hart and Meek Mill, two guys out of Philadelphia. And it said Kevin Hart and Meek Mill get together and give $15 million to the black communities. And some people who were clapping, oh, that's so great, that's so nice. And I'm the guy, I'm just kind of the jerk that's like gonna ask questions like I've heard about celebrity donations before. I kind of want to know details. Like, did they write a check for 15 million? Who did the check go to? What's the check being used for? Because y'all remember with the Black Lives Matter, for example, I know good people that were a part of Black Lives Matter. A lot of good people. Cornel West Vice President, Dr. Melina Abdullah is a great advocate in Black Lives Matter. She seems legit. I don't know everything about everyone, but from what I've seen, everything about her seems sincere. So you can't sort of label the slander of Black Lives Matter on everyone that participated. A lot of people really did the right thing for the right reasons. But y'all remember, that there was a lot of money that was given, millions and millions of dollars, and most people I know didn't get any of that money. And this is right during the pandemic. Everybody's getting paid in the pandemic. All this money is being sloshed around. The inflation rates went really high because they were giving money away so much in the pandemic. And I know so many black people who have businesses and legitimate concerns financially who did not get that money. So when I saw the Meat Mill Kevin Hart post, I was like, well, who's getting this money? Is there a transparency about this? Like, what's really happening here? Or is this just some goofy feel good post about some celebrity doing something? And then the other part of me that no one likes, I guess, or not no one, but a lot of people don't like this part of me, was also like, wait a minute, you know what? Celebrity donations um have never elevated the black community. There's charity is not the same as having a legitimate economic engine. Looking at black people and saying, "Oh, those poor pathetic people who have nothing, let's throw them a couple of dollars." That really doesn't do a whole lot of nothing. Right? What really moves a community is when you can shift the culture, the infrastructure, when you're educating on mass, when you're educating. Right, there you go, Linda. I agree with you, Linda. It's more about celebrating the celebrity than it is about actually really truly showing tangible outcomes in the community. If I can't go to that community and see a whole different community, streets cleaned, new buildings constructed, billions of dollars worth of transformation, it's like what? Like you just made an invisible donation, and now you're getting you're going viral on the internet because we like the emotionality of it. It feels good. It's like, oh, that's so nice. Our favorite celebrity gave money, y'all, cause he cared about us. It's not usually real. It's nothing. It's goofy. And so my point is just to not be a pessimist about this, but it's to say to ask these fundamental questions and explain why this is so important. What Dr. Anderson is talking about here, like every single freedman, every single black Indian getting 160 acres of land, that's a multi-billion dollar transformative economic piece to the puzzle. Like that's massive. That would be a whole different black community if people followed through on what they were supposed to do, or if someone was to work to rectify that. And to this point, we know that we don't have the political will to get it done. I have to hear all these Negroes in my ear saying I got to vote blue no matter who, and then I have other people telling me somehow the Republican Party is going to fix it all, and I don't believe any of that. I think all that's nonsense. It's goofy. It's shenanigans. It doesn't make sense. So the best I know how to do is to say, maybe if I get on here every single day and I take my PhD and I train as many of you as possible on the fundamentals of economics, little basic things you can do that will elevate your family wealth, maybe that's some way to fight systematic racism by developing a counter system that says let's systematically educate millions of our people so we can systematically form a culture that is going to systematically put our children in positions where they have the knowledge and the possibility in terms of getting resources and positioning themselves to efficiently use their personal and economic energy to achieve a goal that is going to be worthwhile. Right. So that's very different from the other engine. The other engine is one where you have thousands of radio stations blasting out messages that are training children on how to destroy their lives. Get hooked on drugs, go kill a black person, commit a crime and go to prison, become an alcoholic, become, just and then throw all your money away and then go get you about five babies mamas while you're at it. That's a systematic annihilation of the black community to the point where even if you look at some of the social media conversations that are happening that are prominent in the community, they're dumb, stupid, destructive conversations. I saw somebody that made a post that was actually really funny. My friend sent it to me, and it said it had a girl who had a really big platform with millions of followers. She said, if a man sell weed and his girl smoke, should she get her weed for free? And then somebody made a comment. They said, I'm going to start following white people because they be over there talking about real estate and stuff. Right. And it's kind of funny. It's a stereotype and it's not true, but it's kind of like, yeah, like, what is it that has dumbed down the culture and really gotten us sort of stuck in the mud on this? Because it's not just a one-sided thing. It's not as if we struggle financially because their expectations of us are low. It's because our expectations of us can be low as well. Okay. So anyway, I hope that that makes sense. So here, I'm going to keep reading here about what Dr. Anderson is saying. And he says here, in terms of these treaties, and these treaties are things that are not taught in school. They don't want to talk about it, but this is trillions of dollars that's owed to us. So he says here, let me see here. Let me get back. He says in 2006, the Black Indian United Legal Defense and Education Fund joined with the Harvest Institute, that's Dr. Claude Anderson's think tank, to form the Harvest Institute Freedmen Federation to seek an accounting by the U.S. Department of the Interior for management of the assets of specific Black freedmen and Black Indian families. It has been a lengthy and expensive legal proceeding based on the 1866 Indian treaties. Native Americans had filed more than 100 similar lawsuits that were at various stages of the legal process. When Barack Obama became president, at the beginning of his first term in office, he promised to help Native Indians, and he did during the entire 8 years of his administration. His administration cleared the deck and settled nearly all of their pending lawsuits, awarding them approximately $3.5 billion, most billions of dollars most years, for a total of approximately $20 billion, 20 billion with a B. The last batch of 17 pending lawsuits were settled by Obama in September 2016 for $492 million. This occurred near the end of his second term, and Native Indians were effusive in their thanks to him. The Harvest Institute, Freedmen Federation, and Black Freedmen and Black Indian lawsuits, based on the same 1866 treaties, with nearly identical questions of law, have not been touched or discussed and are still stuck in the federal courts. Ain't that something else? Isn't that interesting? I don't want to hurt nobody's feelings because I know we got some, we got people that, we were kind of trained to worship Barack Obama, but isn't that interesting? And if you have evidence to the contrary that maybe he did support the Black Freedmen's lawsuits in the same way, then I'm open to that. But isn't this interesting? Because I told y'all about my experience with the Obama administration. It was very difficult. When I did that project with Russell Simmons, we had to grab them by the testicles and force them to change their incarceration policy. I thought this would be a slam dunk. I thought it'd be easy. It's like if you tell me you're going to the store and I offer to give you a ride to the store, that should not be complicated, right? The only time you should be offended if I say, "Hey, you're going to the store, let me help you get to the store," and you get mad about it, well, that means you wasn't planning on going to the store in the first place. So if you tell me that you're going to change incarceration policy and we basically form an alliance to kind of encourage you to do that, then you should go ahead and just do what you said you were going to do, right? But I can tell you all from behind the scenes, that's what made me very disillusioned. I don't hate anybody, and I'm not here to sit here and I know people we get in this habit of worshiping politicians and believing they can do no wrong. But I'm gonna tell you, after I saw what I saw, I was disgusted. I said, I don't want nothing to do with none of these damn lying ass politicians no more, because this is crazy to me. This was ridiculous. What the stuff that they did to Russell, particularly a lot of it came from Valerie Jarrett at the time. I remember Russell speaking about Valerie, putting pressure on him to drop everything, because I wrote the letter, people signed it, several hundred people signed it, from celebrities, Chris Rock and Jada and Will and all across the board, even some of the white ones, Justin Bieber, stuff like that. And then we also got the scholars, the Michelle Alexander, who wrote the New Jim Crow, a lot of civil rights activists, all the HBCU presidents that we contacted signed it, at least all the ones in the AUC. And so we had a nice little coalition. And it should be just easy. Like, okay, let's have a meeting. Let's just get it done. No, they really, really, really pushed all the way to the end. And I mentioned to you all that it was Justin Bieber who got it over the top. Believe it or not, it's crazy. I don't even listen to Justin Bieber, but I was grateful because when he did that, they just said, okay, the pressure is too great. It became a big trending hashtag to end the war on drugs. And then finally they went ahead and did some, made some adjustments. But I just really thought, like, why does it have to be so damn hard? What's the game here? I don't get the game. And I think that the game really generally is we own the black community. We own them, but we don't owe them anything. So we own them, we control them, we tell them what to do. They are our little soldiers. They work for us. We don't work for them. And I resent that. I don't care who you vote for, but I believe that the politicians should be working for you. Let me keep going here. So the Harvest Institute Freedmen Federation encountered only opposition from the Obama administration, an experience very different from that of Native Indians. To date, families that are descendants of the black freedmen and black Indians who are plaintiffs in the lawsuit have not received an accounting of the assets of government the government was to have managed for them. So the government promised that they would manage certain assets. They did not do that. The stuff just disappeared, and nobody will answer any questions. The litigation battle to correct the racially prejudiced behavior of the U.S. government was fought in the 21st century during the period that a black man was sitting in the president's chair in the White House. The U.S. Department of Justice was headed first by a black man and finally by a black woman, and a black man sits as a jurist on the bench of the U.S. Supreme Court. Yet none of them acknowledged the lawsuits nor sought to intervene on behalf of black Americans as was done for Native Indians. The majority of Americans are unaware of the pivotal role Native Indian tribes played in the installation and maintenance of slavery in the United States and the way the 1866 treaties materialized. Once informed, the logical questions ought to be, quote, why are the descendants of slaveholding Native Indians getting benefits from treaties enacted to free slaves while the descendants of the enslaved blacks have been denied their mandated benefits and rights for centuries? Pay attention. Let's say that again. They're getting benefits to this day for treaties that involved in letting their slaves go. So the slaveholders are getting benefits, but the descendants of the slaves are not. Do you follow that? Does that make sense? Give me a yes if you get that. One party owns the damn slaves. They signed the treaty as a type of compensation for letting their slaves go. They're like, look, the slavery thing's over, but here we'll give you something, for your trouble. So they're given those reparations across many generations, and the people who were actually enslaved, the descendants of those people, get nothing. Ain't that funny? I'm sorry I inconvenienced you by taking away all your Negroes, but I dare say that our ancestors were inconvenienced a little bit more because they had to work for your raggedy ass. They had to be dehumanized, be disrespected. In fact, did y'all ever hear this? I saw something the other day, and I got to look this up because I just saw it on the Joe Rogan show, so someone can look it up and confirm it for me. But he was talking about George Washington's teeth. Anybody see that? George Washington's teeth. He's supposed to have them wooden teeth and all that. I don't know how they did dentures back then. Did you know that they pulled those teeth out of the mouths of slaves? Did y'all know that? They literally pulled the teeth out of the slaves' mouths. Like this is the kind of stuff they did to us. So you can't pretend in terms of generational trauma and generational habit formation and stuff like that. You can't pretend that there's sort of a long held, several hundred year tradition of just treating black people really, really bad. Almost like we're animals. Like we don't have feelings like humans. Or like the guy who was the father of modern gynecology, and he used to do these experiments on black women with no anesthesia that put them in incredible amounts of pain. But yet he was like the father of modern gynecology because they looked at us almost like lab rats. That still exists to this day in the sense that when people say Black Lives Matter, I don't think that they really believe that. I think that there's a type of pain that you go through that other people just don't care about. If you look at what's happening in the Congo, where there's millions of people right now going through unimaginable amounts of suffering, if those were white people, then everyone would be talking about it. Let me keep going. The historical significance of these treaties cannot be minimized because they detail tangible benefits, real stuff, tangible benefits directed to a specific segment of Black Americans and their descendants. The economic benefits should have been enjoyed by the Black freedmen and Black Indians and passed on to their descendants. Over the course of the last 150 years, these treaties have served as the basis for Native Americans to demand accountability from the U.S. government for mismanaging Indian assets. Black freedmen and Black Indians have asked for the same accountability and the same legal questions, but they have not received answers. Blacks cannot let the economic benefits of these treaties to blacks be ignored. How is it that legitimate benefits assigned to blacks are always forgotten in history? I mentioned that earlier. I just want to read that again so you guys will know where we're standing on this. So he says here, the majority of Americans are unaware of the pivotal role that the Native Indian tribes played in the installation and maintenance of slavery. We talked about that. And then he says, if slaveholding Indian ancestors are dead and their ancestors are receiving corrective benefits from the 1866 treaties, what is the logic of denying benefits from those same treaties to the descendants of the injured black slaves? While the lawsuit filed by the Harvest Institute Freedmen Federation worked its way through the legal steps of federal small claims court, the federal appeals court, and the Sixth Circuit Court, the Obama administration annually invited approximately 564 Native Indians to White House receptions and awarded them billions of dollars each year of his two terms. Neither the Black Indians nor the Black freedmen were invited to attend White House receptions, nor did they share in the monetary proceeds. When the Obama administration announced settlement of the last 17 lawsuits for $492 million, the headline of an article in the Washington Monthly by Nancy Latorno on September 28, 2016 said, quote, President Obama kept his promises to Native Americans, end quote. The 1866 treaties had two parts, Black freedmen / Black Indian side and the white Indian side. Pay attention. The land, money, gas, and oil on Indian lands made other people wealthy and were passed on to their descendants. The assets designated for Black freedmen and Black Indians should have been available to pass on to succeeding generations, perhaps making Black descendants wealthy today. So a lot of this oil land, a lot of this land with other minerals, gold, whatever, a lot of that land was supposed to belong to you. That's what he's saying, that your birthright was stolen. That's what he's telling you. He says here, it is up to Black people to express their indignation and demand reparations for the economic losses and mount the political campaign necessary to bring attention to this historic travesty. Why is it that Black people are so reluctant to demand justice and the benefits that are due to them, especially once the legal case has been made? Fatigue is most likely a factor. A lack of leadership could be another factor. To support the case of the Harvest Institute Freedmen's Federation Indian lawsuit, Black political action should demand a government accounting to the families and resolution of the issue at the highest levels of government. Enforcement of the 1866 Indian treaties is more a political issue than a legal one. I have something for you. there's a guy in Texas that I respect and that I like. His name is Tim, I believe is it yeah Tim Jackson. Tim Jackson is a good dude, and he is also great with real estate. He hosted me when I went to Jackson, and I never forgot that. I'm going to mention something that Tim is doing. I'm going to mention it right now because I think it's relevant to what we're doing now. Because you're right. What Dr. Anderson's basically saying is stop talking about it and start being about it. So let me tell you what Tim created here, and you can go look this up and decide how you want to participate. He's creating something. He's creating a PAC, a political action committee called the Alliance for Black Economics. And it says here that the Alliance for Black Economics, ABE, is a true nonpartisan lobbying to advance economic equity for Black communities, focusing on economic issues over criminal justice issues. And so, one of the things that let me see if there's a website or something. If there's not a website, then at the very least, here we go. The website, write it down. Somebody please type this in the chat. I'm going to say it 3 times so we can write it down. And then I'm also going to text it out to you if you're on the text list. If you want to be on the text list for this class, text the word money to the number 87948. Text money to the phone number 87948. I will send it to you. If you live in another country and you want to still follow it, go to drboyceelevate.com, drboyceelevate.com. The URL, right? Get ready to write down. Pull out your ink pen. Is lobbyabe.org. 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 Thank you, Mia. It's right there in the chat. If anyone asks it or they missed it, they want to get it again, just have just please type it in there for them. All right. And so this Alliance for Black Economics is something that's sorely needed. I went ahead and I think Tim said I was actually the first person to make a donation, and so that's my honor. That's what I get to brag about a little bit. And I did actually give money to it. I just didn't mention it yet. I told Tim to give us some time, and maybe I'll bring him into our Money in the Morning Millionaire Training Camp so he can talk more about it. I trust him to do it. Again, I don't know every single thing about every single person that I know, but I do know that in the time I've interacted with Tim, he's been ethical and done a great job. And he's a good guy and a smart man. He's a father and a husband, and he loves the community. So I want to support what he's doing. And I'm going to bring this up periodically because I don't know about y'all, but reading that pissed me off. I got a little bit mad reading that. I was kind of irritated. And I'm irritated with not just the system. I'm irritated with the lack of action. I'm irritated with us. I'm irritated with our fake leadership. All this stuff, the shenanigans have to go. The shenanigans should not be tolerated. I don't think that any ridiculousness, goofball stuff, booties to the polls, vote or die, the diddler, just all this other nonsense that they throw at us. I think that has to be ignored. I think if you step to the tables and you're serious about who you are, then other people will take you seriously. If you're serious about who you are, then others will be forced to acknowledge the seriousness of your existence. And so the question is, who are you? How serious are you? Are you a community full of uneducated people who just, follow like sheep and do what you're told and get involved in goofball shenanigans and would rather listen to a comedian or an entertainer than someone who's actually thinking? Is that who you are? Or are you a community of serious builders, people who have zero tolerance for the things that have destroyed us? Are you focused? Are you interested in being great, whatever that means for you? I personally think that we have to look in the mirror and decide who the hell we're going to be. And I'm going to do my best. I'm not perfect. But I try. I do my best. I want to try to hopefully support you in terms of you being the best you can be. And I'm going to be here with you every single day when we're doing this. So those of you who are serious, I want to say thank you for that. I want to encourage you to keep on going, and I want you to understand the importance of us really being clear about who we are and what we want and what we're demanding. Like, I know, for example, you can't be my friend if you don't understand why we deserve reparations. I'm not gonna cut you off or cuss you out or nothing like that, but I'm not gonna support anything politically if you can't even see like what we're owed. Like, we're owed this. Like, this is in black and white. And what the hell, man? So anyway, that's it, guys. That's all. Today, I think that's enough for today. I'm about to blow a gasket because it's getting on my nerves so bad. So I'm gonna let y'all go for the night. And next week, we're going to meet again for Powernomics training. Again, if you want to be on the text list, I'll send out the reminder. Text the word money to the number 87948. And there's also a training that comes to you called How to Make Money Without Working, related to stock options. I think every black child should know about investing. We've talked about this before. And also, tomorrow, we're meeting with the Crypto Club. The sister that came in early this morning, I think her first name was Naja. She's doing a lot of great crypto work in Compton. And she's just every time I say Compton, I want to say Compton, Compton. Anyway, but she's out of Compton and she's right in the community. She's 100% B1 and she knows her crypto. So if you want to join us in the crypto club, I will send you all the text link to join. Or and also if you're interested in other things we're doing in the Black Business School related to crypto, just also text the word crypto to the phone number 87948. So you text crypto to 87948. I'll make sure you also get an invitation when we meet with the crypto club. That's what we're doing tomorrow. And of course, tomorrow morning we have our millionaire training camp every morning at 10 a.m. I personally think that we are the best black wealth institution on the planet. No other place does it as well as we do. I'm actually excited about what we're building here because I believe we're going to change the world. So God bless you. Have a good night, everybody. It was great to see you, and I will talk to you all very, very soon. Take care now. Bye bye.